So let me call the meeting to order. It is 6:02. This is the meeting of the Economic Development Committee. Town of Monmouth, September 15, 2025. First on our order of business is a review and approval of minutes from the June 16, 2025 minutes meeting. If we want to take a moment just to refresh our memories here. All right, do I have a motion?
Approve. Both of them.
For the first one.
Okay, motion to approve. June 16th minutes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Garrett makes the motion, Doug makes the second. All those in favor? Okay, and then next is the approval of the minutes from our June 30th meeting. Just take a look at this.
Have we ever heard anything more about the bank?
Only that it was purchased, and I don't know this firsthand, simply secondhand Facebook.
Oh,
That it was purchased by the same organization that owns the school and being used as office space. Okay, do I hear a motion on the minutes from June 30?
make a motion to approve the minutes of June 30.
All those in favor? It's unanimous, passing. Okay, next on our agenda is the funding request for Apple Fest.
So, Apple Fest, I believe, is this weekend. And the individual who sent this in acknowledged that they were quite late in their request this year, but we are still getting it in before the event. And you'll be voting on, if we choose to move forward, voting on it on Wednesday to fund. But this is a kind of an annual request from the Monmouth Museum. And they have stayed within all the parameters of, the event application request. And so we're talking about it tonight.
All right, there we go. Discussion on this.
Approved for many years. I think we should approve it. Make a motion to approve the application.
So we're making a motion to recommend it to the select board to approve.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion to make a recommendation to the select board by Doug that we approve the event application for Apple Fest for 2025. Garrett has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? It passes unanimously. Next on our agenda.
Flying through tonight.
Dan?
I said we're flying through.
We are. TIF budgeting.
So, I am bringing this to you, and I have printed out for everyone on the blue paper. This is the latest expenditures for our Main Street Omnibus TIF districts that we just approved in June.
Gotcha.
So I guess as we have increased the allowable expenses for our TIF district, which is a good thing. We as the TIF committee, I've been talking to Justin about this, have been asked, and we did this last year, to kind of create a recommended budget for TIF expenditures for the select board to consider as part of their budget discussions. We offered one to the select board last year. We will be able to see kind of what actually was spent and how we did with that in the next couple of months. But the reason we were talking about this, and I wanted to start talking about this now, is that if we look at the cost estimate category, so we have the projects that are allowed in kind of that second column under project, and then the amount that the town is allowed to spend up to in that category over the 30-year period. And if some of you remember, when this TIF district was first created, we had some sort of an annual, $30,000 a year will go to this category. Now we've opened it up so that it's not being kind of piecemealed in. You could make a larger expenditure in the downtown area projects one year and, use the pot of money disproportionately in certain areas. Just allows more flexibility for the town if there are bigger projects coming up. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because we also added on here the fire department somewhere. Cost of public, number 5. Cost of public safety improvements, specifically firefighting equipment, apparatuses, and vehicles related to district commercial / business development or activities in the district. So I met with the, now I'm going to forget his name, the individual who kind of puts together the budget for the fire department.
Dan Roy, the fire chief.
Well, it's the second in command.
Okay.
There's another.
Ed
Pollock, maybe?
Yep, Pollard.
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 Yes, so I met with Ed way back in the spring, and I kind of explained to him what some of the allowable expenses are for the fire department. Unfortunately, it can't be salaries. It can't be anything that has to do with paying individuals. It's really around equipment. If they needed to buy a fire truck that would be servicing the whole community, we could put a portion of TIF funds towards that. It's not just for the TIF district, but it will help in the TIF district. We can justify those. And so because traditionally that is the best practice for TIF revenues. What we want to do is take expenses that are in the town's budget already and pay for them with TIF revenues, because we're keeping the whole dollar in the community. We're not losing half of the new revenue to tax shifts. So we want to maximize the use of that tax dollar by taking some burden off the general fund. Okay, so that's the general practice. What the fire department suggested was that with this new district and with the new recreational trails that are going into town, what Ed and Dan feel might be an appropriate use of TIF revenue would be I guess maybe a 4-wheeler or something that would allow them to get down, down the trails if someone were to be injured, for example. Okay. So again, it's something that could be argued is becoming necessary because of the TIF district. and expenditures in the TIF district. But it's an expensive piece of equipment. It's an $80,000.
They haven't brought it up at our last meeting. The 80,000.
Right.
Would be used for also rescue.
Right.
Operation.
Right. So the question, so Justin has gotten this request from Dan to have this considered, and we haven't dealt with this before. So what Justin is suggesting is that Dan come to the Economic Development Committee and kind of make his case for this piece of equipment. And so, again, it falls within the realm of possibility for a TIF expenditure, especially if he can justify that this is something that is needed to help service the district or the two districts that we have. But it's also a piece of equipment that would not otherwise be in the budget, I guess I would say. It's not relieving the town of general fund expenditures. It's kind of a new expenditure that is outside the scope of their budget right now. So I think that there could be a lot of discussion around this. And so I wanted to make this committee aware of, and I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer in terms of, it would be great to have all kinds of equipment that would be helpful for, visitors and residents of Monmouth. And it's a decent expenditure that I think the town will need to decide if that's warranted for the TIF district. And I honestly don't know. I don't know how many types of calls they get for this. I don't know what they do right now. If we are planning to build out this trails plan, what do other communities do? Do they all have four-wheelers? I don't know. So we want to give Dan the opportunity to come to this committee and kind of discuss that expenditure. But I just wanted everyone here to kind of philosophically understand best practice for TIF revenues. And that doesn't mean that this isn't a good expenditure, just, is outside of the scope of the usual budget of the fire department and would probably not be feasible if we weren't talking about this kind of pot of money we have over here from the TIF districts.
It would be, you said rescue also for brush fires or,
Yeah,
fires.
I didn't talk.
I know that Green has one,
Mhm.
Winthrop has one. I don't think Leeds has one. And I don't know about, I don't think Wales does
Yeah, I haven't talked to Ed about it for several months, but at the time, and it was right kind of as the budget was about to be voted on, so we're like, this isn't gonna happen this year. But now as we're starting to wind back into budget season, we wanted ample time to kind of discuss it and think about the best approach for that.
Sure. Of course, Dan brought this particular potential expenditure up in front of a room full of people and a Zoom room full of people who were completely aggravated with their new property assessment.
And that's the other thing. I think that's why I'm trying to keep the whole environment, and
course.
again, this is all.
Well, it was a bad time to be asking for an $80,000, hey, you got the money just sitting there, why don't you just give it to us kind of stuff. And, it's gonna, and we're not even halfway through that conversation because we haven't even announced the mill rate yet.
Right.
So people don't even know what their actual tax bill is going to be.
Yeah, it's in every, I'm
Of course.
in several communities and it's all the same and
Of
people
course.
are understandably
Well,
concerned because they
and
don't know the
listen,
outcome.
there are some people who are gonna make out just fine. If you're like a farmer and you own 100 acres and it doesn't touch water, then you're gonna be, your tax bill will probably go down. But if,
So, but, you know, Justin told me that it was gonna go, well, I don't know if it's got the farm exemption, but he said land is what's increasing.
Yeah.
The value of land is.
well, maybe,
So-
but disproportionately waterfront
Oh,
is
yes.
increased more than non-waterfront. So if it's not waterfront, you're probably gonna be just fine. Either it'll be level or a little bit lower, you'll be fine. But anyone who's got property that's gonna touch water, that does touch water, I mean, it's the real estate market. That's just what it is. So, so your piece of, your share of the town's expenses are gonna go up. And those are also people who typically are pretty motivated to show up to a meeting and tell us what they think. That's how it works. So,
If I remember, going back to this firefighting, or public safety and all that, wasn't there a portion that could be used for the operational budget, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, anything that falls within this, these
I thought,
categories.
well, I thought one of the arguments was like, well, we need,
10%.
yeah, that's right. Because, you know, they, CMP built this thing that could catch on fire, so we should,
So we allocate 10%. I think there was actually an adjustment in our budgeting process last year for 10%. So this additional equipment would be on top of the 10%
okay,
that the TIF
okay.
is.
So when I see no funds spent, this is probably just,
No funds spent on equipment.
but something has been spent in the TIF from,
I'm pretty sure Justin made a special adjustment for administrative overhead, right, economic development, and then a portion of his salary.
Yes, yes, I think Garrett's talking specifically about the firefighting.
Equipment.
Yes, so.
For the firefighting administration, I think we did 10%. You might want to check with Justin.
that's what my recollection was.
Yeah,
But there was at least something that offset some of the fire budget or public safety.
Okay. Yeah, so I might say that probably isn't necessarily an allowable expense based on this
description.
description. I mean, I've always heard it being
Our
like.
auditor hasn't picked it up yet.
Yeah, I know, just let it lie, but,
Just remember, this meeting's being recorded.
Specifically firefighting equipment, apparatuses and vehicles related to district commercial business and activity of the district. So
unlike Justin's salary and the assessor's work, like her time,
Mhm.
that because they have to do work in the TIF district and on economic development, then yes, then a portion of their salary, they can justifiably say like 10% of our time is, you know, the assessor's time is working on the TIF district and 10% of Justin's time is working on economic development generally in the town. So yes, that's totally fine.
so we'll have to kind of, I mean,
It doesn't mean their salary is increased by. It's simply.
No, it's just-
So if they get paid $10,000, 1,000 gets covered by the TIF funds.
And this couldn't be used, they have a big roof problem at the fire station. It couldn't be used for that, no,
No, it's not for fire
it's equipment.
buildings, yeah. it's
Overhead,
equipment.
yeah, not for fire overhead.
But Doug, that's an example of what I was saying, otherwise, general fund money would have to be used to pay all of Justin's salary, but instead we can take some money from over here and contribute to his salary and use less of the general fund money. That's, the best of all worlds when you're talking about TIF funds, because, it's less of a burden on taxpayers, that way.
So, I'm happy to have the conversation. It's a tough year
Yeah.
to be having a conversation about any sort of non-necessary expenditures. And I'm a big supporter of the fire department. I want to make sure they have every tool they need to do their jobs. They had a big brush fire down here, near the railroad tracks about 6 or 8 months ago. And they had to do mutual aid calls to a bunch of places. And those places brought their, side-by-side utility vehicles in there to get into a remote section of town, going down railroad tracks and, you know, trails and things like that to get the thing under control. And I'm sympathetic for that. Listen, I had a fire on the island in November last year. And we had to borrow the Winthrop's fireboat to move, you know, 9 firefighters at a time to the island to help put that brush fire out. Someone's campfire got out of control. I absolutely want to make sure that they have the right equipment. I would not, maybe, I mean, let's hear the presentation from Dan. Let's make sure he knows he's welcome to come talk to us. And we'll put all the ideas on the table. It is a tough year for anyone to talk about any municipal expenditure that isn't absolutely necessary.
But that was kind of what I was alluding to, where are things earmarked as part of this fire already? So are we potentially going to be running up against that if we do this expenditure too? I'd like to be ready to know whether or not things have.
Well, that's a good question. Maybe Reagan, you can double back with Justin and ask
to make
him
sure that, because
specifically.
we got 20 more years of this TIF, so
Right.
if there's an annual allocation.
Right. And I mean, maybe the answer to the fire department is not no, maybe it's not yet. And maybe the answer, I mean, or maybe the answer is, we'll let the voters decide. Like, you know, the select board is authorized to make these expenditures exclusively. We don't have to ask the voters technically. But one method that we could use to see if people are okay with it is to put it on a ballot and let the voters decide.
Yeah, that would take some education
Yeah.
in any, you
course.
know, in any outcome, but.
But, you know, I mean, I think that's one of the things that the fire department is really good at is outreach and educating people about why it is that they need this equipment and is it worth it? And we had people at this meeting where Dan was saying, hey, I want $80,000. We had people who were, you know, downright outraged about what their property tax might be. But at the same time, they were like, oh yeah, but give Dan that $80,000. Like, you should buy them the equipment. And I'm like, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth there, my friend. You can't have that both ways. So, and I'm also very aware that we do not want to stand in the way of DOT finishing their sidewalk project downtown. And we need to be prepared with a very large balance in the TIF account to minimize the amount that we have to finance for that project when we have to go borrow money for that. Because I don't know
This
if you
is on
guys,
streetscape.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are, I'm sort of, well, you probably see this every day, is you're looking at the horizon for what might be happening to interest rates. And it's unclear whether interest rates are going to go down. I mean, maybe a little bit. But it's not like the old days when it was 0 to 1%, because we're facing some inflationary pressures. So they may not be able to reduce interest rates to the extent that they can trigger job growth and economic development that they could have a while back. So if that's the case, then when we go to borrow money, I mean, we're looking at multi-millions of dollars for this sidewalk project. We're going to be paying a very significant interest charge. So the less we have to pay with a larger down payment, that's less money that we have to take from taxpayers to finance that. I'm really, you know, I think we want to be coming at that with eyes wide open. The other good news, and this is, I don't know if Justin made you aware of this, he and the assessor did some thinking on what the revaluation means for the cow that generates the cash for this TIF district and CMP. And because we will be able to charge 100% valuation of our 100% realization of the valuation, he's expecting that the CMP revenue will be higher than just the $130,000 to $160,000 a year that it has been producing for the most recent years. So, he's, I don't know, he mentioned a figure of maybe $200,000 a year. And so I'm hopeful for that means more savings for the taxpayers and gives us, a better position to be able to pay for, pieces of equipment that obviously have value. And obviously, as the town grows, we're going to need to fill gaps. It's just going to be one more thing that depreciates and that needs to be repaired. Right, another piece of equipment is another maintenance bill. It's true.
So if the CMP valuation increases and they're required to send more money, this total goes up, so the
Yeah.
pot gets larger?
Yep.
Yes, that this, this is a best guess
Right.
for 30
Right.
years. Anyway, but yes, the money that the town can spend will be larger, be more. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar and just kind of remind everyone about, TIF expenditures and as I said, what I think generally people feel are best practices versus needs that the TIF district may be creating.
Right. Could I ask you to check in with Justin to make sure that we have an accurate figure on what we have spent so far on item number 5?
Yeah.
And also, under which category would trails fall?
That's on the back on 14.
Okay. And so I know that we just expended some money.
This was approved back in June and had to be created, a month plus before that.
Right.
So this is not up to date.
Okay.
But we need one up to date for when we're doing when we're proposing our budget,
Right.
I guess I would say.
So on number 14, I know that I think we've expended at the Trails Committee, we did a feasibility study of like $10,000. And that I also know that the trails behind Compton Hall were another 25-ish.
I think we had just about that in our budget. I don't have that in front of what we proposed to the
Right.
select board, so.
Right.
It definitely included the Compton Hall, and I think there was a feasibility study in there too.
Okay. So anyway, we should just double check the totals on this.
Yep.
Let's go through this one at a time. This is interesting because,
I forgot what was in it.
yeah, well, but it's also interesting to compare what we thought we were going to spend versus the status. So downtown area projects in terms of property acquisition, purpose of economic development, site work on a property for redevelopment. So we could acquire a property or do sidewalks or make some improvements in a downtown area. What's defined as downtown in this case?
I think it's kind of the center of town.
Main Street,
Yeah.
general area. So some of that could cover what we're imagining the sidewalk project, the Main Street sidewalk project that DOT is going to be doing.
I think we have that all under 4.
Okay, so let's skip to 4, downtown area projects, construction and design of work for parking facilities.
Maybe, you know what, now,
It's more down.
Number 6, maybe, no. This is downtown area projects, advertising, marketing,
okay, so
Downtown
I
area
think,
project.
sorry, it's 7.
7. Okay, this is the big one.
Facade improvements, that's what it is.
Right. Okay, downtown area, streetscape, facade improvements to promote downtown economic growth. Okay. And so far, we spent 106, and some of that 106, I'm pretty sure is what we've spent on debt service. Some of that is debt service for like the Maple Street and the beach improvements, like the bridge over the beach, Beach Road Bridge, culvert, and the Maple Street sidewalk project. I think we borrowed money because the interest rates were very reasonable at the time. So rather than paying for the whole thing with TIF money, we borrowed some money.
Not North Monmouth. Wouldn't include North Monmouth.
I don't recall. Maybe it might include North Monmouth sidewalk stuff. We did Maple and North Monmouth at the same time.
Yeah, and beach.
So that might just be debt service. There might be some obligations there, and maybe that's, could we add a column to our spreadsheet here to the right, which is not just how much have we spent, but how much are we obligated to spend in the future, so we know that we have the balance in the account to cover that figure.
So you would want. I'm not sure what you would want for that then.
Outstanding principal.
You're saying the delta, so 900,000 minus 106,000?
No, it's not that. This is, we've reserved $900,000 in this category for over the course of 30 years. We spent 106, but we've obligated the town for a certain amount of debt service for
Oh, I
a certain
got
period
you.
of time. Right?
Similar to the fire question, yeah.
Yeah,
What's
so-
coming up to?
What's obligated?
What's already in the pipeline, we obligated the town to spend there. Right? Because there are, and usually when we borrow money, we borrow it for
So
10
you're
years.
just
at a
asking for
time.
like an annual increment of what normally has been spent?
Or
or is
just
it
what is the
required?
future balance? What's the principal balance of what we owe
Okay.
for these projects? Right? Let's circle back to, number 2, professional administrative costs. I think this is where, we've talked about the portion of the assessor's salary and Justin's salary and that. So there's a small amount. We spent up to 22,000. Parking facilities is number 4. Cost of public safety improvements, specifically firefighting equipment, apparatus, vehicles related to commercial business development activities in the district. So up to $400,000 over the 30-year period, and we spent nothing. Number 6, downtown area projects in terms of advertising, marketing to promote Monmouth as a business location. This would be the sort of source that we could use for the website overlay, paying for someone, a consultant, to help us put together something that goes on top of our existing website that sort of says, welcome to Monmouth, here's some things to do. We talked about 7. Number 8, economic development events. And so this is an example of the Apple Fest stuff that we just.
Mayfair.
Yes. Do we do community night out in there too?
We have, that should be a different discussion. Someone has brought to my attention, the fact that maybe community night out should go into the budget for the police department. And then it could be paid for with TIF funds, but when we do our community, these grants that we have been doing, we basically treat Cumston Hall differently, which is a town-owned entity from the police event.
Mhm.
You know, that we've been very careful not to fund anything directly from, that's a Cumston Hall event, but yet we've funded the community night out, which is a police department event. So we just need to kind of think about that and what make it consistent in terms of them applying for TIF funds.
Right,
Versus just having it in their budget.
that's fine.
But
Happy to,
yes, traditionally, yes, to answer your question.
happy to do that the right way if there's something that we're not quite doing right. Revolving loan fund program, matching grants.
We do have that set up with the
KB car.
KB cog, but we just haven't gotten any
Local
traction.
match for economic development, yeah. And then next is 11, training funds, cost of skills development, training and college scholarships for residents, college scholarships to residents attending in-state colleges. Okay, and then childcare, cost for providing quality childcare, finance and construction, staffing, certification. And then 13, cost of funding environmental improvement projects developed by the municipality for commercial use.
I think we were talking about trying to see if that might be able to be a way to help to fund some of the lake purification projects.
I wonder, this might be a good question to ask. I mean, I'm glad we're kind of revisiting these categories. We're expecting any moment now. Could happen like, I could check my email and the report would be there because I know that Justin is on the ball with the engineering company that's putting together a feasibility study for the Anabescook Dam. It's overdue by 6 months.
Oh,
I wonder if that project, which is expected to be something that would probably cost about $400,000, and about half of it would actually be paid for by the town of Winthrop. I wonder if this might actually be a reasonable source, because really what it is about is controlling lake levels and giving better giving better control to retaining and releasing water from the Anabescook Dam, so that we're preventing floods and we're also preventing low levels of water during a drought period. So that would be a good question, maybe something to float to Justin to see if there's some interest there.
right. And it would also be worth asking our TIF attorney if that could.
If we could put that in there, because if we're budgeting $200,000 over a 30-year period and we've got, I mean, we wouldn't have to borrow money to pay our share for, I mean, we've got a $600,000 balance in the TIF fund, right? 700,000, probably close to it. That'd be kind of cool to be able to say, okay, we don't have to pay, we don't have to pay from general funds in order to pay for that improvement for our share of the dam. I don't know, they have to, I don't know, they're talking about different ways to create an additional sluice gate for that dam so that we can release water faster. And then last is costs associated with new or existing recreational trails. Okay. And that's where the $10,000 came from for the feasibility thing.
How would number 11 work? That
Training funds.
students or
Yeah, I think, so for example, the way that I would see this is if some business moved into Monmouth that required plumbers. Or, you know, required a skilled workforce in some way that maybe we didn't have readily available. The town could assist in helping to train those workers.
So it wouldn't apply to maybe students who would be graduating from Monmouth Academy, and,
Well, and this is,
it would have to be something that was
no, this
business
one,
related.
it doesn't have to be business related, but that's where I have seen it elsewhere. This is provide skills development, training, college scholarships for residents of the municipality, period. So it's very broad. But that's, for an economic development purpose, that would be kind of what the town would want to focus on, maybe.
You mean somebody who is graduating and planning to start a business here or work in a business existing?
Well, I mean, you could think about it this way, Doug. You could say, there's a big kerfuffle about how we don't teach shop at Monmouth Academy anymore. We could use these funds to fund additional seats to the skills training that happens in Augusta. What's the center called that does that?
CATC,
CATC. So right now, we're allocated like 5 or 6 different
yeah.
seats based on the student population, so highest they give from
But
away.
this wouldn't mean, of course, the Auburn School and the Waterville School, the vocational schools are community colleges. They do, they would be the next step beyond CATC.
Yep.
Yeah, and as I see
So
this as graduates of high school who maybe would want to go on to a
Building.
trade or, yeah, something that the municipality would want to.
Does it have to be a graduate? Doesn't say that.
Well, it says college scholarships. I mean, they're talking about colleges, so someone who is,
Cost of service to provide skills development, training, and college scholarships.
and college scholarships, yes.
So there's no. Yeah, I suppose you're right. The way that sentence grammatically is constructed, it would have to be someone post high school.
Yep. And then one, number 12 for childcare, how would that be used?
So if the town wanted to start a childcare program, these funds could be used to do that.
105,000 over 30 years.
Right. It was a,
So that's $1,000 a year.
well, you don't have to spend it proportionately, but,
So it's like $2,500 a year.
right. I think we wanted to get the line item
Half a
approved.
kid.
We wanted to get the line item approved, and if it ever became a thing, we would just amend the district and redistribute funds.
Right.
But we have it in.
I was at a meeting with the rec director and Justin last week. And one thing that was mentioned is childcare, using that building for childcare services. So,
You're saying the old academy?
yes, the old academy, among many other things, but that would be a place where.
But it has to be a town administered.
Yeah, so like the rec department, like in Augusta, the rec department runs a childcare facility in the Bucher Center.
Oh, okay. Like an after-school thing.
That would
After
benefit-
school, summer,
Program.
yeah, just,
Would benefit teachers, for
oh
example.
yeah, I mean, it's great. It would be a great placement across from the school.
Right, so the after-school program, kids just go across the road and boom.
Or daycare or, a whole bunch of things.
Better grow the economy. Make sure that we can afford all the bells and whistles. So it'd be as big as Augusta. Yeah, careful what you wish for.
Yes, this is a small town with some big town problems.
Just for the purpose of the public record, I was joking. Are we ready to move
I
on?
was gonna say, yes, that's all I had for, I said, guess that
Okay.
encompassed TIP budgeting, and now we're on to other business.
Other business. Who's got other business?
I mean, this is interesting to me in terms of what isn't being. Like, we're sitting in here today, some of the stuff we don't even remember that's available. So how's the town citizens supposed to know even who to ask? So it's more of a reflective in terms of somebody has to do something, and probably it's this committee, but it starts here probably in terms of promoting what some of the things are, as opposed to.
Possibilities are.
Yeah, as opposed to, the rec director talks to the town manager and then we think, oh, well, it's a good idea for him to, we've kind of gone 10 different directions to get to one. So it's not really operating kind of efficiently, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this, when we put this together, we're looking to cast a wide net. Again, in one sense, you would create a TIF district and it would go for 30 years. So you're trying to anticipate what the town might need in the 30-year period. That said, as we're looking through these, if the committee felt that there was something on here that would benefit the town to be put into motion, then I would agree that that would be part of this committee to kind of raise that up as a project and indicate the type of funding we have for it and, moving it forward. So that's kind of, but it doesn't mean that we have to do all of these things at once or at the same time necessarily either. So it's kind of
It was
a
just,
buffet.
it was just funny because we were at the trails meeting and the rec director came in and he was like, he's been here, 2 months, maybe a month. And he's like, it's hard to figure out how things work around here because he keeps bumping into different, well, don't you know this person? They do that. Or you know what I mean? Like, but there's nothing to guide him. And then I'm like, well, I didn't even think about, even I knew one of these answers probably, like if you set up, after school care through the rec department, like, just kind of,
Well, and I would
it's
say
interesting. I don't think it's a judgment. It's just interesting where you're listening to somebody who's come in and seeing it from the outside and
Mhm.
seeing how it works.
Well, you can learn a lot from someone who's got a completely,
Yeah, blank
Fresh.
slate and, yeah.
fresh perspective and not, they're seeing things that are just, we're blind to.
Yeah.
Like the comment that Augusta runs its own daycare center.
yes,
I didn't know that.
which Mike used to work at.
Okay.
Mike Griswold used to work there. So he used to work for the Augusta Rec Department. So he is well aware of,
Right.
kind of how it worked.
Right,
That's good.
that's cool.
That
And
was my other business.
I don't know, we need to be open to.
Yeah.
The possibilities that we don't even know about. Because 30 years is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And it's
think
not.
about 30 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Like 30 years ago was what, 1995?
95.
Okay, 1995. Would we have
Great.
predicted social media? No. Anyone even thinking about that? No.
Computers were just kind of,
Those were the days.
Right, computers were the things that you used as a fancy typewriter.
yeah.
Or it was probably about 1995, I turned in my first homework assignment in grad school via email. I submitted it via email. And I'm like, dude, that's whacked out. No way. Really? I just press a button and I turn this thing in. How do you know it's me?
That or Brown.
I was getting a master's degree at Bryant College in Rhode Island. And yeah, attach really a 5-page paper, just attach it and then it goes away. And I don't have to like show up and put it in a box.
I know, that was my first email was in college.
Yeah.
You know, that was. Yeah, right around that.
No
time.
way. Anyway, fast forward 30 years and here we are.
Dream about
Yeah.
computers. It was all,
Of course.
or I got my wife to type.
So who can predict what would happen and what solution's gonna work for what period of time? Really? So I'm okay with it being like, you know, the feeling a little discombobulated with, you know, the unknown. That's all right.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to predict the future.
Yeah, well, but I think it's more like present opportunities should be, you know, made full aware of that there's funds sitting here, you know, whether it's a dam project or
Yep,
after school, whatever. Yeah.
good point. And it's better, I mean, I think I take Dan Roy's point that it is better to, rather than to have money sitting in account, it is better to be putting it to work. Like generally speaking, except we are gonna pay 6 or 7% interest. But generally speaking, I mean, if we have to borrow more than what we've got. But generally speaking, it is better, I mean, we know, we can actually see what work gets done by making the physical investment. And that's the beauty of municipal government versus state government or federal government is like, you know, they got tons of money that get channeled in various places and the people making decisions don't always get to see the effect on the ground.
Well, and I mean, 10 years ago, half the stuff would have been cheaper, immensely cheaper to implement and
Right.
spend on and, you know, so it's just like, it is good to put the work because 10 years from now, who knows how expensive something's gonna be.
Right.
So.
Okay, other business. Just an FYI, an update. We're waiting for the federal government. Speaking of faceless bureaucrats who make decisions that don't even, they have no idea what the implications are. We're waiting for the federal government to come up with a budget to figure out whether or not they're going to approve Senator Collins' earmark for the North Monmouth water funding. And basically, if Senator Collins' proposal, we're on her short list of earmarked things that she has prioritized as chair of the budget committee. If they're gonna have to make the decision in the next month or two. If her earmarks get approved, then the North Monmouth water budget is, the funding gap is closed and we can proceed with the next steps with that project, which would involve actually the permitting and the, you know, the actual final construction design and construction. If it's not approved, then I think we're probably we'll be on life support. I mean, it's a shovel-ready project. But the feasibility
Is
and
it
the,
a whole sewer system or is it?
it's not a sewer system, it's a water system for servicing the North Main Street, Wilson Pond, and what's the name of the road that comes back? Blaisdell Hill Road. The loop.
Yeah.
There's another little mini loop that goes through New Street and up and around the corner. But in order to do, it's a water system that services polluted properties down there. where right now they're relying on filtered water, filtration systems that are pretty expensive. It would also serve the mill and its fire suppression system, which needs a significant upgrade. So that piece, the fire suppression system, the mill is willing to connect it in and use this water source as part of their system. That piece actually helps us move the project along because that becomes a private source of funding if we include it in the project. And the mill owners, the corporate mill owners have said they would be willing to do that if we can come up with public money for the other 90% of the project. So we need Senator Collins to come through for us in $3.5 million. And then we suspect we will have everything that we need in order to proceed. We're waiting. Month or two. And then if you're living in North Monmouth and listening to this recording, then we will be able to pave your roads because we only want to pave them once. Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. Any other business? Are we ready to adjourn?
Since we adjourned.
I have a motion to adjourn and a second by Doug. All those in favor? The time is